King Kong, 1933. It all began with Marion C. Cooper and Ernest B. Schoedsack's radio production segment from 1933, showcasing Skull Island, which is a desolate location near Indonesia, where the film crew led by director Carl Denham discovers the iconic giant ape, King Kong. Of course, the humans don't respect Kong's independence and thus take him back to New York, leading to a culminating battle. Meanwhile, did you know that a crane was used to raise Kong's hand 10 feet to film the sequences with Anne inside it? Well, that actually happened. The Son of Kong, 1933. After the massive success of the original Kong film, Son of Kong rapidly followed suit. Director Carl Denham returned to Skull Island just a month after the events of the first film in the series. Instead, Harry and his intrepid companions stumble upon a big albino gorilla they take to be Kong's kid, as well as a menagerie of other outlandish and humongous beasts. Also, Robert Armstrong thought this sequel was better than the original because of the added depth to the characters. So there's that. King Kong vs. Godzilla, 1962. Japan's Toho studio brought back the giant ape nearly 30 years after the events of the first two King Kong films so that audiences might watch him do combat with another giant monster, Godzilla. In this part, though, actors in full-body costumes bring Godzilla and Kong to life as they settle their differences atop Japan's Mount Fuji. Although Godzilla's name was well known by now, the last time he appeared in a movie was in 2004. Suggesting that Toho's decision to develop further Godzilla movies can be traced back to the massive popularity of this film, which makes this part all the more worth watching. King Kong Escapes, 1967. It wasn't for a few more years until Toho recast Kong in King Kong Escapes, while Ishiro Honda, who directed King Kong vs. Godzilla, also directed this. This part visualizes how King Kong fights a robot created by the villainous Doctor Who, where the Mechanical Kong clone is known as Mechanicong. A very weirdly funny fact about this part is that Linda Miller's mother negotiated her pay with the film's executives because it was her first acting role. Yet, Miller explained that all she wanted was the chance to make a film. Therefore, she would have been satisfied with any budget. Given that knowledge, her mother naturally assumed leadership. She was an aggressive negotiator who persisted until the studio gave her the salary she had asked for. King Kong, 1976. The original King Kong films were released in 1933, but this remake brings the plot into the 1970s. Naturally, when Kong's tranquil existence is interrupted, it is not a film team, but an oil firm that sends him to New York. Here, primate paleontologist Jack Prescott is played by Jeff Bridges, whereas blonde beauty Dwan, played by Jessica Lange, is this part's damsel in distress. Factoring in its height, width, and weight, Carlo Rambaldi's mechanical King Kong is the tallest mechanical creature ever built at a little over 40 feet, and that alone makes this part stand out from the rest. King Kong Lives, 1986. Director John Guillermin returned to the role 10 years later for the sequel King Kong Lives, where Kong survives the fall from the Twin Towers in New York City for 10 years in a coma rather than perishes at the end of the film. However, Kong awakens from his coma when a female ape is brought in to give him the blood, and the two of them go on a rampage through Manhattan. Also, a reminder that Peter Michael Gouet's post-publication royalties check was a whopping 3 cents. He has never cashed it, but keeps it stapled to the movie poster in his home. Isn't that insane? Well, it's surely more funny than it is insane. King Kong 2005. For financial gain, a film producer gathers a crew and travels to Skull Island, where they encounter more than simply cannibalistic locals. Also, this is the point in Peter Jackson's epic King Kong that Kong is given the modern big-budget treatment. This film, starring Naomi Watts as Ann Darrow and Jack Black as Carl Denham, is often referred to as a second remake of the 1933 original. Fun fact, the real Empire State Building was completed in 14 months, but the computer-generated counterpart took 18 months to make. So, it sure did take a lot of patience for the graphics team. Kong, Skull Island, 2017. This part features a group of scientists seeking refuge from the carnage of the Vietnam War, who find themselves trapped on an unexplored island in the Pacific, the home of the Great Kong, and must fight their way out. On the contrary, the film was originally nearly 3 hours, but was shortened to 1 hour and 58 minutes, where a few scenes and information from the film's original script were cut from the final version. They consist of such things as Marlowe and Gunpei Ikari's lengthy combat scene and James Conrad's encounter with a gigantic serpent. Godzilla vs. Kong, 2021. Putting humanity in balance, the next chapter in the cinematic monsterverse pits two of the biggest symbols in film history against each other: the terrifying Godzilla and the powerful Kong. Godzilla vs. Kong, which has some of the most impressive visuals in the franchise's history, is less concerned with human character development than it is with delivering viewers a traditional monster movie with state-of-the-art computer graphics. Meanwhile, the actress that plays Gia, Kaylee Hoddle, comes from a family of all deaf people.